Hello, and welcome to Aging Matters, a program featuring people who talk about issues of interest to older adults and their families. I'm Cheryl Beversdorf, your host. Today, Aging Matters TV show is pleased to present a program about durable medical equipment, also known as DME, and how its use can increase independence for older adults and enhance their quality of life. My guest is Bennett Helfgott, president of Mobility City in Alexandria, Virginia. He's going to talk about what families need to know when considering different types of durable medical equipment and how to choose one that best meets the needs of an older adult. During the interview, Bennett will demonstrate two types of durable medical equipment, a wheelchair and a mobility scooter, and explain what older adults and their families should know about using each of them. So welcome, Bennett, and thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Okay. Well, we've been hearing oftentimes when we hear about durable medical equipment, we also hear about adaptive equipment. Help us understand what the difference is between these two, and also give us some examples of each.
So they are similar in a way, and when you go into a durable medical equipment store, you have both. Durable medical equipment consists of lift recliners, wheelchairs, scooters. You can even put a shower chair in as durable medical equipment, but that's also adaptive medical equipment. So we have shower chairs, which are adaptive. We have grab bars, which are adaptive. We have shoe horns for getting dressed, which are adaptive. We have utensils for eating. As we get older, we get arthritis, we can't hold utensils. So there are utensils that are thicker with rubber around the ends, or there are utensils that are weighted so that it's easier for a person to hold.
Okay. Well, explain to us then why using DME is important, especially for older adults. How does it actually, the use of these DME, improve quality of life?
So there are many different DME equipments. I'll give you an example. An older person can't walk as well as he'd like to. So in order to get around, he has to rely on someone pushing him in a wheelchair or pushing him in a transport chair. Where I come in is I would suggest using a scooter, which would change his life. He would not have to rely on someone to push him to dinner or push him to the bathroom or push him out to get to the car. If he is a candidate for the scooter, we could get him in the scooter and it would change his life. He would be more independent. We want to make the elderly and handicapped more independent, and all these different durable medical equipment devices will make them more mobile and change their life.
I would imagine sometimes there are challenges, maybe even to convince an older adult that they should use DME.
I can tell you stories that you could laugh, you could cry, but in the long run, it's a smile. I've met people, loved ones who've brought their father, mother, aunt, uncle, who's having a hard time getting around, and they swear they're not having a hard time getting around. I've met them, I've showed them different durable medical equipment, such as power chairs, such as scooters. Once they get in them, and they feel comfortable, they're more at ease and they're more likely to agree to using one of them. But they have to go through the criteria of being able to steer it, be able to get in and out of it, being able to turn the power off and on. Once they do that and they feel they're ready for it, then they purchase one, or we get them one. Number of times after it's all said and done and they get one, they'll be walking out the door, or I'll be walking out of their apartment, and they'll look up at me, smile, wink, and tell me that I changed their life. which is very, very rewarding.
I'm sure it is. And is it usually, does it require an order? Does a healthcare provider have to recommend a certain type of DME, or how about a primary care physician? Who's
So-
usually involved?
So the primary care physician is usually involved. He writes a script, or the physical therapist writes a script, or the doctor writes a script. They go to the physical therapist and they say, you need this type of durable medical equipment. And then they will come to me and I'll show them different types of durable medical equipment. And then they try to get Medicare or their insurance involved. And it's a lot of legwork, but if they go through the system, eventually they'll get what they want. And if they can't get what they want, they can always pay out of pocket for it. But there's the therapist, the doctor, caseworkers, social workers, they're all involved in these things, and they push the patient along to get taken care of.
And once that there is a positive attitude about getting DME, what should older adults and their families know about purchasing? Can they be rented? Do they have to be bought? Can you use gently used equipment?
Right. They're all, what you just said, all of the above is out there. They can rent, they can buy used, they can buy new. Personally, I would rather them buy new because I know it's a brand new product. It's got a warranty. They're covered for 2-3 years on the product. And they need to be able to operate it. It's most important. Yes, they can get whatever they want, but they need to be safe on it. They need to be able to operate it. They need to be able to get in it and be safe. Wheelchairs, transport chairs are easy. You know, they can hopefully they can sit down in it and stand up in it. But there are other devices to help them do that. As far as electric or battery operated, again, they got to be able to get on it, turn it off. They need to be able to charge it, and they need to go through all these things before they'll be able to get one.
And that's where you also help to teach them how to use the DME, and are families involved with this too? Do you teach
Families
them?
are involved. If the person is older, and I think at night especially they're going to need help with charging it, I ask the family, are you going to be around to help them plug it in, to charge it up? Are you going to be around or is there a caregiver that checks on them at night? So some need help, some don't need help. And I determine that when I meet with them and go over everything with them. I go over from A to Z, from the display on the battery operated machine. I go over everything with them, and they need, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but they need to be safe on it, and they need to be able to steer it, and they need to be able to get on and off of it. If they can't do that, then I pull the loved one aside and I just talk to them and say, hey, this isn't for your mother or your father or your aunt or your uncle. I would suggest maybe go to the wheelchair clinic where they would fit him for something that's a little safer for him, and they will make the final determination. I tell everybody, if they get one of these, they shouldn't, and they don't have surgery, they shouldn't cut out their daily routine of walking. They shouldn't depend on this battery-operated scooter or power chair for 24/7. They need to, if they can walk, they need to continue to walk. And then when they're tired in the afternoon and they want to go out, hop on your scooter and go do what you got to do. But by all means, do not stop walking if you're able to walk.
Good advice. Well, you are about to see a demonstration of two types of DME, a wheelchair and a mobility scooter. Bennett will explain what individuals need to know about using each one. So let's watch.
So this is our standard 3-wheel scooter. Great for people who are 260 pounds or less and my height. You'll look at it and say, oh, it's really small. Well, I'm 6'3¾", and there's plenty of room here for me to sit and get my feet. This scooter has a swivel chair, so your loved one can sit in it and swing his feet around, or if he can step like this, or she could step like this and sit down, that's the way I would go. But they need to be able to do that to purchase one of these. They need to be able to get off and get on it. The scooter comes with a charger, okay? There's a charging port on the tiller, and there's a charging port on the battery. This battery gets 6 to 8 miles per charge. You use the scooter, you charge the scooter. You plug it in when you go to bed, and you unplug it in the morning when you get up. Scooter is great to pack up, easy to pack up and put in your car. You take that off, the seat comes right off, the battery comes right off, and you got 4 pieces. Tiller comes down. Great to take your loved one to dinner, to the mall, and it fits right in the trunk of your car. You might have to put the seat in the back. And to put it back together, like that, battery goes in, chair flips on, and then you put the basket on. Okay, it's got a dashboard telling you how much battery life you have left in this. It's got a horn. It's got a speed pod with turtle on it and a rabbit. That tells you how fast, that you can tell the scooter how fast you want to go or how slow you want to go. One of the better scooters. There are many scooters out there. There are bigger scooters than this that will accommodate heavier people if need be. The problem with that is it's harder to pack up that bigger, heavier scooter than this, but it can be done. It's just a little bit more work. There is a throttle in the back, or the neutral drive throttle. So if you need to push it, you can push it. It will not go if it's in manual. So you need to put it in drive. The arms flip up, and there is room for you to adjust the waist or the hip area. You can make these wider, or you can make them smaller. You can get bigger seats with some scooters, and you can get bigger battery packs with some scooters. A great scooter for someone who lives in a facility, who needs to go to lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and he relies on somebody to push him. He can get in this and just go on his own. But I will say this, everybody that comes in and sees me, I let them know I do not want them to stop walking. So walk to breakfast, walk to lunch, and take this for dinner and go out after dinner with it. Great scooter. These are our wheelchairs, standard wheelchair. The wheelchairs come 16-inch, which is this, 18-inch, 20-inch, 22 inches. Don't just get a wheelchair that you're crammed in like a sardine. Let the person who you're buying it from or dealing with fit you. All wheelchairs come with either elevating leg rests, which swing away, so you can swing them away. This particular wheelchair has a lot of bells and whistles. Transfer, if you need to transfer, you can raise the arm. These arms raise. You can go up, you can go down. This is all nylon, and all wheelchairs, if you have a wheelchair, in your garage that's been sitting there for years, and these are all musty, and these are all ripped and torn and mildewed, these can all be replaced. We have parts for this. Everything can be replaced. The arms, you got desk and full length. The arms can be replaced. The brakes, which you can't see in the bag, but these brakes can be replaced as well. And the seating and the back can be replaced. What I do is I steam clean them, take everything off, and then I put on new arm pads, new brakes, less than $100 or less. So this is a $300 wheelchair. I go to places that have rooms and rooms of old, decrepit wheelchairs. I steam clean them. I replace everything I just showed you. These wheels can be replaced. This is the most expensive thing on the wheelchair to replace. You can just replace the rubber, but I'd rather replace the whole wheel. The front casters are replaceable as well. And the most important thing is that you get fitted and you get the right size wheelchair. These come off. So if you want to lift the wheelchair and put it in your car, it makes it a lot lighter. And these swing away. This wheelchair is about 40 pounds. There are lighter wheelchairs out there. The lighter you go, the more expensive the chair. But there are lighter chairs out there. If you don't need a wheelchair and you're pushing your loved one and your loved one isn't wheeling himself around, I suggest a transport chair, which are 15 to 20 pounds. And that's why it's called a transport chair, because we transport our loved one to and from the doctor, to and from the hospital, to and from a dental appointment. You want to go out for dinner, you just fold it up and you put it in the car. Again, this is about 40 pounds. A transport chair is about 15 to 20 pounds. And that's about it. You just got to be careful and get the right seat. If you don't have the right seat, you're going to be very uncomfortable. You want to have 2 inches on your left thigh and 2 inches on your right thigh, or an inch and an inch in between the 2 sides. You do not want your hips up against that. Thank you very much.
I hope Bennett's presentation was helpful in understanding what families should know when a loved one needs a wheelchair or a mobility scooter. So, Bennett, what are the factors that determine whether it's a wheelchair that they should have or a mobility scooter? Which is more, how do they know which is more appropriate for an older adult?
So, most of the time people don't really know. And a lot of people, like I said before, come in with loved ones. So it's depending on what the patient wants and what's good for the loved one and the patient. Most of the patients I don't really worry about. I worry more about the caregivers. So if they feel they just want a wheelchair and they're going to wheel their loved one around, then they're going to go for the wheelchair. If they feel they're ready to use a battery-operated mobility scooter and they'll take it apart and put it in the car if they want to travel with it, then it's really up to the loved one, not so much the patient. It's what makes it easier for the caregiver or the loved one. The patient also has to be able to operate the scooter. If they're not able to operate the scooter, then we go to the wheelchair. So either way, it's decided between me, the loved one, and the patient, what's best for them.
And in your experience, what kinds of health conditions or situations usually warrant the wheelchair?
So people will come in, and if they have a stroke and they can't move their right arm, the wheelchair and their balance is off. The wheelchair is better for them. They're not going to be able to wheel themselves around, but it'll keep them in place. They'll be able to put their feet up, and they'll have their caregiver or their loved one to push them around. If he has a stroke and he can't operate the scooter, then the scooter's not for him. But there are power chairs out there, and if he can master the joystick, then we can put him in a power wheelchair. So there's three options there.
It's kind of trying to
Decide what's best. And people spend hours with me trying to figure out what's best for their loved one, and again, the caregiver.
And expand a little bit more about this. What do the older adults and their families then need to know before buying one? This is going to be a major decision.
They need to know, where are they going to use it? Are we using it inside? Do we want to be able to travel with it? Can we go to the mall with it? Can we go to the movies with it? Can we go to dinner with it? Can we go to Aunt Betty's house with it? So they need to map all that out. And there is something for everyone for all these places that I just mentioned. There are wheelchairs, there are transport chairs that are just manually operated, and there are small scooters that, like I showed you before, that can be taken apart and put in the back of a car in less than 2 minutes. And each piece weighs 20, 30 pounds. Or a power chair that can be taken apart and put in the back of the car. So we need to find out exactly where they want to use it, where they want to go with it. And then that determines on what we can get for them.
Okay, and so to that point then, what would be the circumstances when a mobility scooter might be more appropriate?
So that perfect example, someone is living in a facility and the dining room is far from their apartment. Then I will suggest a scooter. And then I will also suggest that, you can take your loved one out anytime with this scooter, because it breaks down, like I showed you in the demonstration, into 5 pieces. So a scooter is good for the apartment, especially a 3-wheeler, which I just showed you, because of the turning radius. 4-wheelers are basically better for outside and bigger facilities because the turning radius isn't as sharp as a 3-wheeler. But a scooter can take them to dinner. You can pack it up, put it in the car. You can take them out to dinner. You can take them to the mall. I know I'm repeating myself, but that's how you determine.
Well, and you're talking a lot about the advantages, and so I'm just wondering, are there tips then for choosing the appropriate mobility scooter? And then also talk about the disadvantages. I just want to hear a little bit more about that.
So when we fit somebody for a mobility scooter, I always ask height and weight. Some of the mobility scooters, weight capacity are 250 to 300 pounds. So the disadvantage of somebody who's over 300 pounds, yes, we have a mobility scooter for them, but it's bigger. So it's not as easy to break down and put in the back of your car, and it's not as easy to operate in a small apartment. So hopefully most of the people come in, they're under that 250 pound mark, and we can offer them a 3-wheel scooter, which will be easy in the apartment, easy for the loved one to pack up and put in their car. Disadvantages are, is the loved one going to be able to pack this scooter up and put it in the car?
And during the demo, you were talking a lot about the various parts and in both of the wheelchair as well as the scooter. Is maintenance, though, of a wheelchair and the mobility scooter, is that important?
So we'll start with the wheelchairs like I showed you in the demo. The brakes on the wheelchairs are the things that go first, because either the caregiver or the person in the chair is really hard on the brakes, and after a while they loosen up. But with a phone call, or you go online, you could purchase brakes. I would go to a dealer because you never know what you're getting online. Brakes can be replaced. The arm pads can be replaced. If we soil the seat or rip the seat, it can be replaced. So everything on a wheelchair can be replaced. That wheelchair will last forever. The wheels, the casters. Scooter doesn't need much maintenance at all if you take care of it. The only thing that really needs to be watched is the battery, and the batteries last 6 to 8 months. You use the scooter, you charge the scooter, and you get almost a year out of the batteries.
And in the first part of the program here earlier, I asked you, sometimes people only need something for a short time. So what happens if a family no longer needs this equipment, or perhaps the person might pass away? What are possible options that people could use with the DME that they have?
I get calls every day of people passing away. My loved one, we have a lift chair, we have a scooter. My suggestion is you can go online and sell these things, but there are a lot of people out there that are in need. I would go to my church. I would go to Volunteers of America. They're in Washington, D.C., and donate it. Churches, assisted living. If you have a rollator and you don't need it anymore, any assisted living, if it's in good shape, sanitize it, clean it up, wipe it down. Any assisted living, I'm sure, would take that. Scooters, churches, assisted living, I'm sure would take it. Or nursing homes, wheelchairs, the same thing. You get them cleaned up, and they could call Mobility City, and that's what we do. And then they could take it over to any of those facilities and get a tax write-off on it. I'm sure the facility would give them a tax write-off. And they're doing a good deed, and they're getting a little bit reimbursed.
Okay, last question. What are the best resources to learn about durable medical equipment, and how can viewers contact you?
So viewers can call me. I'm a wealth of knowledge when it comes to this, and I can help them. If they're out of town, there's plenty of Mobility Cities and durable medical equipment places all over. You can go online. Some of the best manufacturers are Pride Mobility, Golden Technologies, Drive, Merit, Journey Health. Those, you can go online and look at their websites and educate yourself. I think they're some of the best. Invacare, I think they're some of the best in the United States. It's better than going online and buying some random equipment from Amazon or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with it, but if you need a repair or you need help or you need to talk to somebody, you can't do that online. You can look the companies that I just spoke about, you can go online and you can always call. Whether you're going to get the answers from them or not, but I'll always be there to help anybody.
And your website is?
MobilityCity.com.
All right. Well, I want to thank Bennett Helfgott, owner of Mobility City in Alexandria, Virginia, for joining me today. This program is broadcast Sundays at 5:30 p.m. and Wednesdays at 6 p.m. on Comcast Channel 69 and Verizon Channel 38 in Arlington, Virginia. Aging Matters is also on the radio. The program is broadcast every Tuesday and Friday at 2 p.m. on WERA Arlington 96.7 FM. And be sure to check out the Aging Matters website, agingmattersonline.com, for more information about our radio programs and TV episodes. So thank you for watching the program today, and please join me again for the next Aging Matters show. And until then, remember, age is just a number, not a label.